Hello, introductions are stupid, so let's get started. In this video, I'm going to take a character from level 1 to 20. It's going to be an Archfey Warlock. I'm going to stick with one class because a lot of the gameplay is in lower levels and I don't want to delay anything by taking other classes. I want to create a character that may appeal to younger players and the older but immature alike. An Archfey Warlock is mostly based around the spell Misty Step, so I want to go all in on moving around the battlefield. One of the most frustrating things as a beginner player is wanting to go someplace and being told you don't have enough movement, or trying to move away from a bad guy, then getting hit with an opportunity attack. I'm going to make this character fart themed, because every kid or kid at heart knows that farts are the funniest thing that happens with our bodies. It's facts. For inspiration, you can look at Scentaur World or My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, because that's the best series. But you can take this character any way you want on your own. Before we get started, pound that like button because big font. For the kids watching, font is the style of the letters. In D&D, there are 12 different classes you can choose from, and I already said in the goals that we are going Warlock. A warlock is someone who gets magic powers from the multiverse, and they sometimes try to boost their magic by making a deal known as a pact with a powerful being known as a patron. I'll be assigning ability scores using the point cost method. We get 27 points for the base scores from 8 to 15. This is how I bought my abilities. Warlocks use charisma a lot, so we're putting our biggest number there, which is a 15. We won't use strength much, but I don't want a negative modifier in strength because we will get one strength-based attack. Also, non-magical jumping distance and athletics are based off of strength. A 14 dexterity will help our armor class and some skills. A higher constitution helps with any concentration saves we'll need to hold a spell, and it will give us extra hit points. We won't really need intelligence, so we are setting it to the lowest number of 8. Wisdom helps us in a few good skills and on some really important spell saves, and I'm not willing to sacrifice it to get even numbers in all abilities at 19th level. For our background, I'm going to take Smuggler. It's not in the 2024 book, but there's a little blurb on page 38 that tells us how to use old backgrounds. With this background, we're going to take a +2 in charisma and a +1 in dexterity. We're going to take alert because really there's nothing better at this point. For skill proficiencies, we're going to take athletics and deception. And we're going to get water vehicle proficiency, which is kind of situational, but with this character it makes sense. For equipment, we're just going to take the money of 50 gold pieces. With the ability score adjustment, we get a 15 dexterity and a 17 charisma. This will change every 4 levels, so don't worry about the odd numbers. For this build, I want to take a Scentaur, which is also not in the 2024 handbook, but they get a speed of 40 feet, which, like I said, we're going for mobility. There is an option you could take a Tabaxi, but a lot of the future levels of this build are not going to work as well for Tabaxi. With a Scentaur, I'll get 40 feet all the time. With Tabaxi, it's really just a speed boost for one round, and then you got to take a break. With the Scentaur, we also get these additional attributes. He can charge, so he can move straight for 30 feet, and he gets a bonus action hoof attack. His hooves does 1d6 plus the strength modifier, which we set to 10, so we get a +0. Still, it's extra damage. Centaurs get equine or equine build. I don't know how you say that. So their carrying capacity is considered large. They climb really slow though. For every 1 foot of climbing, it costs 4 feet instead of 2. Centaurs also get natural affinities. They can choose out of a list of skills, which are animal handling, medicine, nature, or survival. We'll take survival. Let's make a little bit of a bio for Scentaur. He's got a smuggler background, so let's make a story for that. His parents own a merchant company in the Feywild. Think Alice in Wonderland. Some goods that are okay to transport in the Feywild are illegal in much of the material plane. Scentaur smuggles those goods between the realms for his parents, but his crew was arrested while he was away marveling at a pony. He's looking for a way to bail out his crew or break them out of jail. This is why he's a warlock. Scentaur isn't intelligent, so he doesn't really like to study big books, but he does read the graphic novels about the many lands of the multiverse and the Archfey. Scentaur really likes Titania. She's a good fae. Knowing Scentaur is an admirer of Titania and he's in need, the Queen of Air and Darkness gave Scentaur his powers to help him in exchange for a promise to help her one day. Scentaur is a good centaur, but he's young, has a lot of energy, loves goofing around, and is a bit wacky and crazy, so he's chaotic good. What is your gender? The gender doesn't really matter here, but I went with him being a boy because boys are stinky and fart a lot. What person or people do you care most about? He cares about his family and his smuggling ship's crew. They're like family to him. What's your deepest fear? His deepest fear is not being able to get his crew back home. On your adventures, what will you seek? He wants to find a means to get his crew free, but he also wants to be goofy and random while taking out his stress on anyone that gets in his way. For languages, Scentaur is going to speak Common, Elven, and Sylvan because, the whole elf thing and the Feywild, but Sylvan's kind of a rare language, so if the DM doesn't let you take Sylvan, take Gnome. Warlocks get a D8 whenever they level up for their hit points. They get proficiency in wisdom and charisma saving throws. I'm going to take intimidation and arcana for skills. Unfortunately, they don't give enough charisma and dexterity skills, so this is what makes sense. He gets simple weapons, light armor, and we're going to take the gold instead of the starting equipment here too. So in total, we have 140 gold pieces as our starting gold. We're going to buy studded leather, an arcane focus, a book, dagger, explorer's pack, block and tackle because mobility, some traveler's clothes, and a component pouch, which is absurdly expensive. The best we can get is studded leather, and we only get a +2 dexterity. That means our armor class is a completely average 14. This isn't good, but we'll find ways to offset it. At first level, we'll get 1 invocation, and we're going to take Pact to the Blade. Pact to the Blade allows us to conjure a weapon into our hands as a bonus action. I think most of the time I'm just going to conjure a lance, because instead of a dude on a horse, he is a dude that is also a horse. A lance does 1d10 piercing damage, it's heavy, it has reach, and it's two-handed. The coolest part about Pact to the Blade is that you can use your charisma modifier for the attack and damage rolls. As a warlock, we also get Pact magic, which is how we cast spells. We get to choose 2 cantrips. We're going to get Eldritch Blast, which is probably the best damage dealing cantrip in the game, and Prestidigitation. Eldritch Blast lets us hurl a beam of crackling energy. It has a long range of 120 feet, and it does 1d10 force damage. And then you get to hurl more of them as you gain levels. You get to do 2 beams at level 5 and 3 beams at level 7. Then finally 4 beams at level 17. As the farting Scentaur, we're going to take Prestidigitation, and that's going to let us give sensory effects like a puff of wind or an odd odor. I'd say farts are odd odors. But it can also do a little bit of fire play. You can clean or dirty something. You can give minor sensations like a warm fart. You can also create a magic mark or make a little minor creation. For first level spells, we're going to take Armor of Agathis and Hex. We're only starting with like 10 hit points, so Armor of Agathis is going to help us out here. It's going to give us 5 temporary hit points, and if the creature hits you with a melee attack roll before the spell ends, they take 5 cold damage. Also at first level, we're going to take Hex, because we're going to be the kind of centaur that runs into somebody's face and attacks them, and we're going to want to do extra damage. What we're going to try to do is, as a bonus action, I'm going to try to Hex them, and then on the first round, we're going to try to charge in there, hit them with our pack weapon, then we're going to try to bonus action, kick them with our hooves. If we can hit them with both of those, we'll do an extra 2d6. At second level, we're going to get Magical Cunning, which allows us to recover half of our spell slots by taking a 1-minute break, and this is pretty good. You can do it once per long rest. We're also going to get a couple of much-needed Eldritch Invocations. First, we're going to take Fiendish Vigor. Fiendish Vigor will let you cast a maxed out false life on yourself, which will get you 12 temporary hit points, which is pretty awesome since we only probably have like 17 hit points at second level anyways. Getting a free 12 temporary hit points like all the time at this point is really great, especially because we're running in and attacking things and our armor class is only 14. They don't stack though, so keep that in mind. And we're probably going to swap it out later when we get a lot of hit points. The second Eldritch Invocation we're going to take is Ascendant Step. This will let us cast Levitate on ourselves whenever we want. This is really good because if you remember, we don't have much of a climb speed. So we can just cast this and go up 20 feet. Also, you can just cast this on yourself whenever you're fighting somebody that can't fly or shoot anything. You just levitate up and blast them with Eldritch Blasts. This round, we also get another prepared spell. We're going to take Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and we're going to flave it like Tasha's Laughing Gas. You know, farts. What this will do is it'll allow you to pick a creature out, and if they fail a wisdom saving throw, they fall prone and incapacitated and just laugh, you know, because farts are funny. At third level, we get our subclass. We're going Archfey Patron. With this, we get Steps of the Fae. You can cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier. That's why we jack that puppy up. And you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Your Misty Steps can also have additional effects, like Refreshing Step. Immediately after you teleport, one creature you can see within 10 feet of you gains 1d10 temporary hit points. That's alright, but you also get the ability to do Taunting Step. Creatures within 5 feet of the space you left must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC or have disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures other than you until the start of your next turn. Now that's what I'm talking about. Each subclass gets their own kind of spells too. So we're going to get Archfey spells and we're going to get Calm Emotions, which isn't super useful, but it's okay. It has a 20-foot radius and each humanoid in that 20-foot radius can be immune to charmed and frightened conditions until the spell ends, which it lasts for 1 minute. You can also suppress the charmed and frightened condition until your spell ends. Also, if somebody's acting hostile towards you, you could make them less hostile. I think the spell is better as flavor out of combat, like right before you take a short rest. Fairy Fire is alright. You get a 20-foot cube within 60 feet, and each creature in the cube has to make a dexterity saving throw, and if they fail, they shed dim light in a 10-foot radius and can't benefit from the invisible condition. Also, attack rolls against that creature or object have advantage if the attacker can see it. Misty Step, that is what we're here for! As a bonus action, you get to teleport 30 feet. Easy peasy, 30 feet. If you can see it, you can get there. No opportunity attack or anything like that. And you get to use all your subclass stuff. Phantasmal Force is kind of like an area illusion, but it can do damage if somebody doesn't make a save. So then there's the sleep spell. I mean, it's pretty much the name of the spell. You can cause somebody in a 5-foot radius sphere to go to sleep if they fail a wisdom saving throw, unless they're immune to it. For our prepared spell, we're going to take Spider Climb. Levitation can't get us anywhere, and we don't fly yet, so we need to get around with Spider Climb. Also at this level, all of our spells that we cast are cast as a second level spell. So pay attention to those upcast descriptions in the spell description. Alright, at level 4, we're going to take the Fey Touched feat. We'll get a +1 in our Charisma, taking us up to an 18. We'll get Misty Step, and we get another spell. Since we get so few spell slots as a Warlock, we really want that extra Misty Step to be able to do more of our magic. Our first level spell has to be from the Divination or Enchantment School of Magic. Speak with Animals or Animal Friendship might be the most thematic because Scentaur is half horse. If no one has Detect Magic, that's a good choice. Charm Person can be strong. Bless and Command can be great in battle. Out of the Divination and Enchantment spells, none of them really fit the theme or boost his abilities particularly well, so pick your favorite. Scentaur will get a cantrip this level. Blade Ward might be the optimal choice because if you're out of range, you could cast Blade Ward and a bonus action spell like Hex when you run into battle. But I don't think that's what we're going for here. We're going for maximum farts with this build, and there's no bigger fart cantrip than Thunderclap. If you've been watching cantrip ranking videos, you might be rolling your eyes saying, that spell sucks. It does crappy damage and everyone in the whole place is gonna know you're there. And you'd be right. The damage does suck. But the damage isn't the feature of the spell. The damage is the ribbon. You're almost never going to use the spell because some horde of weak little minions are swarming you, and you're thinking about the loud noise as a hindrance, as if you're gonna be sneaking around like a party of thieves. Who are you trying to kid? The thunderous noise that can be heard for 100 feet is the feature, and I think it's pretty good. Let me give you 2 scenarios. The first scenario, you're about to enter a room. Inside that room is some poop-faced bad guy that you want something from. Information, an item, or a favor. Your plan is to walk in there and scare the poop right off of his face so he's willing to give you what you want. Before you enter the room, you conjure a Warhammer packed weapon and you create deafening thunder while your cleric casts the light spell on something behind you. You walk in the door and use your +6 intimidation to threaten them with the illusion of great power. Scenario 2. Your sorcerer just leveled up to 5th level, and they're itching to use their new fireball spell. You're in a dungeon. Your rogue scouted ahead and returns to you to let you know that there is a mix of 8 to 12 goblins and bugbears in the 3 closest rooms. So, your barbarian blocks off a choke point, creating a kill zone. Your sorcerer stands in a place where he can see the kill zone, and you simply rip the loudest fart you can muster, alerting all the enemies to your presence. They charge out of the rooms into the kill zone, and your sorcerer unleashes 8d6 points of blazing death. Now, does the thunderclap cantrip suck, or is it better than knocking on 3 doors trying to run away? Alright, moving on, we also get a 2nd level spell. We're going to take Cloud of Daggers. It's a cloud spell. How can we pass up on a cloud as a Scentaur? Now, I don't like the measly 10 damage average for a 2nd level spell. Our Pact Lance will average 9 to 10 damage. It's also a concentration spell, which I would like to avoid with this build because Scentaur is going to get hit quite a bit. I do like that it can be moved 30 feet, though it takes a magic action. I really like that there is no save. In 1 round, this is just 4 less damage than a 2nd level magic missile, but it lasts for up to a minute. If it does damage in 2 rounds, it's going to out-damage a 2nd level magic missile. If you can keep Cloud of Daggers on a wizard that's casting a concentration spell, they're going to fail their concentration save or die eventually. Moving on to level 5, we're going to replace the spider climb for fly. Your patron is an Archfey. You should get fairy wings and fly. This is how you do it. Sure, a centaur walking upside down on the ceiling is cool, but flying is just more practical when you have to cast the spell at the highest level. Also, we're getting 2 Eldritch Invocations, Thirsting Blade and Otherworldly Leap. Thirsting Blade gives you an extra attack with your packed weapon. We have a lot of cool and thematic options, but taking enemies to 0 hit points is going to be the most practical way to get through combat, and this will help us do that without casting our few precious spells. Otherworldly Leap lets us cast the jump spell on ourselves at no cost. It lasts for a minute and lets us give up 10 feet of movement to gain 30 feet of jump movement. And since it's jumping movement, you can use that 30 feet any direction. Well, maybe not down. That's just falling, and you take damage from falling. We're also going to get a 3rd level spell. We're going to take Gaseous Form. That's right, we're gonna become the fart. Gaseous Form lasts for an hour. It allows you to fly slowly at 10 feet of movement, but it allows you to get through very small openings. You don't have hands in this form, so you can't attack or use objects. There are some other benefits, but I won't go through them all right here. Gotta keep it on a timer. we'll get some subclass spells too, Blink and Plant Growth. I'd probably ignore Blink unless I just wanted to add some chaos to the battle and I had a spell slot to burn. Plant Growth is cool though. As long as there is vegetation around, you can create an area that can slow enemies way down. It's 100-foot radius, so the more distance you have between them and you, the more impact it can have. And also this level, we'll cast all spells at a 3rd level. As a 6th level Warlock, we'll get the subclass feature, Misty Escape. You can vanish in a puff of mist in response to harm. You can cast Misty Step as a reaction in response to taking damage. In addition, the following effects are now among your Steps of the Fae options. Disappearing Step. You have the invisible condition until the start of your next turn or until immediately after you make an attack roll or cast a spell. Dreadful Step. Creatures within 5 feet of the space you left or the space you appear in, your choice, must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell DC or take 2d10 psychic damage. Oh yeah, we're going to be using that one a lot. Also at 3rd level, we're taking Magic Circle. I figure Scentaur is a little bit of a defensive character with his taunting step, but now we're going to amp it up with a spell. He creates an area of magical energy. Choose one type of magical creature, and you have multiple defenses against that creature, like they can't willingly enter the area. The creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets within the cylinder, and the creatures in the cylinder can't be possessed by or gain the charmed or frightened condition from the creature. It does cost 100 gold pieces, so keep that in mind. At a 7th level Warlock, we're gonna swap out Fiendish Vigor for Repelling Blast. The temporary hit points from Fiendish Vigor have probably been doing a lot of work for us, but now we're 7th level, we've got an okay amount of hit points, so let's move on and take Repelling Blast. Scentaur is going to use Repelling Blast with his Eldritch Blast. At 5th level, he gets to shoot 2 beams of Eldritch Blast every time it's cast. Each time you hit with Eldritch Blast on a large or smaller creature, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from you. So you can push him back up to 20 feet if you hit him with both. This level, we also get an additional Eldritch Invocation. We're going to take Agonizing Blast. Scentaur is going to add his Charisma modifier to his Eldritch Blasts. We also get a 4th level spell, and we're going to take Dimension Door. This is going to pump up our mobility like crazy, and we can take somebody with us. We'll also get a couple of Archfey spells, Dominate Beast and Greater Invisibility. Dominate Beast is a pretty good spell. Animals are typically kind of weak, but they have low wisdom saves, so the success of the spell is pretty good. Greater Invisibility can be fantastic. You're just invisible for a minute. Also, all the spells you cast are going to be cast at a 4th level. At Warlock 8, we're going to take the Speedy feat. Speedy will let us get another +1 to our dexterity. We'll increase our speed by 10 feet. When we dash, we ignore difficult terrain, and attack of opportunities against us are taken at disadvantage. We'll also get a 4th level spell. We're going to take Charm Monster because it's probably the best we can get without concentration. At Warlock 9, we're going to get Contact Patron. This allows us to always have Contact Other Plane prepared, and we can cast it once a day to talk to the Queen of Air and Darkness. For our Eldritch Invocation, we're going to take Life Drinker. With Life Drinker, we can do an extra 1d6 of damage, and we can expend one of our hit dice to regain hit points. At 9th level, we can also cast 5th level spells, and we're going to take Teleportation Circle. Teleportation Circle lets you open a little gate for 1 round, and anything that goes through the gate can go to another teleportation circle. Many major temples, guild halls, and other important places have permanent teleportation circles. So as long as your DM's willing to work with you, this will get you right back to those important places you've already been to. We'll also get a couple of Archfey spells this level, Dominate Person and Seeming. Dominate Person basically lets you control somebody else as long as they fail a wisdom saving throw. And Seeming basically lets you disguise your whole party for 8 hours. At 10th level, we're gonna get an extra cantrip. we're going to take Mage Hand. We're also going to get a subclass feature called Beguiling Defenses. This allows us to be immune to the charmed condition. Also, when we get hit, we can use our reaction to take half the damage and force the attacker to make a wisdom saving throw against our spell DC. If they fail, the attacker takes psychic damage equal to the damage you took. You can do this once a day unless you want to use a spell slot, but it's not really worth it. At Warlock 11, we're going to get our first Mystic Arcanum. We're going to take Arcane Gate. This allows you to create 2 teleportation portals that last for 10 minutes. The first portal you create near you, and the second portal you can create within 500 feet of you in a place you can see. In a large open area, this can basically let you skip the whole area. Your DM may be upset. Also, we're going to prepare the spell Summon Fey. It's concentration, but it lets you summon a Fey spirit that lasts for 1 hour. Sometimes there's nothing better than putting an extra body on the battlefield. This level, we also get our 3rd spell slot before we have to take a short rest. At Warlock 12, we're going to take the Eldritch Smite Invocation. We have to expend a spell slot for it, but at this level, it's going to be doing an extra 68 force damage. And it'll automatically knock them prone if they're huge or smaller. We'll also get a feat, and we're going to take Athlete. With Athlete, we're going to bump up our dexterity 1 more time. We'll gain a climb speed, so no more spending 4 feet to move 1 feet climbing up a rope. If we're ever knocked prone, we only have to spend 5 feet of movement instead of half of it. And we can make running long and high jumps after only moving 5 feet. At Warlock 13, we're getting another Mystic Arcanum. We're going to take Plane Shift or Finger of Death. It really depends on the campaign you're in. If you're in a campaign where you're moving through different planes of existence, Plane Shift is the one for you. If you're in a campaign that primarily just takes place in one place, like a dungeon or the Sword Coast, then Finger of Death is probably going to be your better choice. We'll also get another prepared spell, and we're going to go back a little bit. We're going to grab Hypnotic Pattern. We're going to theme it like incapacitating gas. That's right, that fart is going to really take them out. At 14th level Warlock, our Archfey Patron will give us Bewitching Magic. This allows us to Misty Step after casting an enchantment or illusion spell at no additional cost. So you can cast a spell, Misty Step out of there, and use some of the old Misty Step shenanigans like Taunting Step or Disappearing Step. At Warlock 15, we're going to take Devouring Blade as our Eldritch Invocation. This gives us 2 extra attacks instead of 1 with our Thirsting Blade Invocation. We also get a Mystic Arcanum. It's an 8th level spell, and we're taking Befuddlement. Befuddlement has no concentration, has a range of 150 feet, and it targets an intelligence saving throw. If they fail the save, they take 10d12 psychic damage and can't cast spells or take the magic action. At the end of every 30 days, the target repeats the save, ending the effect on a success. The effect can also be ended by the Greater Restoration, Heal, or Wish spell. For our prepared spell, we're going to take Mislead. Mislead lets you turn invisible while at the same time create an illusory double of yourself. The illusion lasts for 1 hour, so if you've got somebody stalking you or something, you can just take them for a little walk. At 16th level, we're going to take an ASI and take +2 in Charisma. Without some other kind of help, this is the only way we're getting to a 20 Charisma. If we're able to get to a 20 Charisma in some other way, I'd rather take Charger. Charger would let us increase our dexterity or our strength score by another 1. We would get an improved dash, which would let us get another 10 feet if we dash, and we would get a charge attack. So if we move at least 10 feet in a straight line towards the target immediately before hitting it with a melee attack roll as part of the attack action, I would get to choose one of the following effects. Gain a 1d8 bonus to the attack damage roll, or push the target up to 10 feet away, as long as it's no more than 1 size larger than me. That would be so fitting for a Scentaur with a lance. At Warlock 17, we're going to get another Mystic Arcanum. To continue our mobility theme, we'll take Gate. You basically open up a portal for 1 minute that you and your party can move through to any plane of existence. But if you're not doing a big interplane travel kind of campaign, Power Word Kill would work fantastically. For our prepared spell, we're going to take Synaptic Static. It's not super thematic, but it's a really good spell. Also at 17th level, we get a 4th spell slot. Yay! At Warlock 18, we get an Invocation, and we're taking Lessons of the First Ones, Tough. At this level, it'll give us a pretty good hit point boost. At Warlock 19, we're going to continue this mobility trend with the Boon of Speed. We're going to get a +1 dexterity. As a bonus action, we can take the Disengage action, which also ends the grappled condition, and our speed increases by 30 feet. I think that makes our total speed 80 feet. If you make it this far, you also get another prepared spell. You can take Hold Monster or Banishment. Hold Monster is a 5th level spell, so you can only use this to hold one monster. But while you hold it, you can have your buddies banging on it. Or you can take Banishment, which is a 4th level spell, so you upcast it to a 5th level spell, and you'll be able to use it on 2 enemies. The downside is that they come back after the spell ends. The best part about it is that it targets Charisma, but at level 19, who knows if that's a good save to target. At Warlock 20, we don't get much of a capstone. We'll get Eldritch Master, which gives you basically 2 more spell slots per day, but when you use your Magical Cunning feature, you regain all your expended Pact Magic spell slots instead of just half of them. At this level, you've got so much going on, that's okay if you get just a little bit at 20th level. And we end up with these ability scores: 10 Strength, 18 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 8 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, and a 20 Charisma if you took the ASI. If you took Charging, things might look different. You might want to kind of replan a lot of the different feats that we took. Here we have our spell saves. We have no strength spell saves. That's mostly because there's not a whole lot of spells that target strength. Fairy Fire is the only dexterity. We have 3 spells that target intelligence, which is pretty decent. Wisdom is what will target the most. I included Banishment in here, so there should actually be 2 charisma saves targeted. Eldritch Blast is our only spell that uses a spell attack, and we've got a handful that automatically work. So what did we miss out by going single class? Sure, we could have gotten more doing a multi-class, but that would have delayed about everything we wanted to get out of this class, except for maybe the last 3 or 4 levels. But I really wanted to just stay Warlock. And then if you take a multi-class towards the end, like the top tiers, you can miss out on stuff too. We just stayed with the Warlock, and I'm okay with that. Well, I hope you liked this video. I only went to 20 levels because my last build had most of the Warlock slides already set up. So please consider to donate to paypal.me/YouTubeIbuild. Thanks for your support, and feel free to comment below on things you'd like to see in the future. If you thought this video was helpful or would be helpful to somebody else, hit that like button. And if you would like to see more character builds fleshed out, subscribe. That's all for my video. Have a good game.